Hey, everybody. How are you? Happy Sunday night. I am Leanne Fuller, and I want to welcome you all to Your Fuller Life. So, as you can tell, I'm a little hoarse, but bear with us because we have a great show ahead of you tonight. I am so excited for our guest tonight. Before I introduce her, I like to kind of share my fuller life moments, and it's been a couple weeks, it seems like, so I've been missing you guys, and I'm excited to have you here with us. Let us know where you're joining us from. Let us know if you have any questions. When we get towards the end, I will go and get any questions answered for Tamara. It's amazing to have her, but for our lessons is sometimes shit happens for us and things seem to be going all wrong, and there's people out there that are not always looking out for our best interests, and there's people that are going to try really hard to bring you down, and sometimes you just have to take the high road, as hard as it is, because sometimes it can be really hard when somebody is trying to tear you down and make you engage with them. Sometimes it's hard not to, but the best thing for us to do is take the high road and be who we are and not give in to those people, not to engage to them, not to go down to their level. So that's kind of what I wanted to throw out there. There's stuff going on for parts of our family, and I feel horrible, but sometimes we just have to stay true to who we are and trust and know that things are going to work out. I'm a firm believer things do happen for a reason, but sometimes we just have to keep traveling our road. And truthfully, in order to get through it, we do have to grow through it. We have to keep going. We can't quit, and we can't bring ourselves to other people's level because sometimes that's all they want. So just stay true to who you are and keep going, because everything that's happening, it does happen for a reason. You may not know what that will be for a long time, but I am a very firm believer that everything does happen for a reason. So just keep going and know that there are brighter days ahead. You will get through this no matter how bad it may look, no matter what's going on. Just keep going. The only way to get through it is to keep going through it. So I just wanted to share that. And again, I'm excited to have you guys here. It's Sunday night. I'm honored everybody takes their time to kind of, when they're preparing for the week ahead, hopefully you're excited for the week ahead. I remember those days where I was dreading the week ahead. So I hope that's not the case with you. So thank you so much for joining us. And I would love to introduce to you now our amazing guest, Tamara Santel. How are you, dear?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I am amazing. I'm so excited to have you on with us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Listen, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
I am excited to have you. So instead of me trying to read your bio and tell everybody how amazing you are, why don't you share with us a little bit about you?
Absolutely. So I am Tamara Zantel. I'm the CEO and founder of Raising a Mogul. Raising a Mogul is the #1 parent manager platform on the planet. So I have the amazing pleasure of working with are looking to gain more confidence, knowledge, and also tools to help them raise young moguls. I am fortunately an expert in raising a young mogul because I helped my daughter Zandra, starting at just 9 years old, turn her kitchen table hobby into a $1 million brand. So now my goal, my mission is to help other parents do what I did in half the time or less. That's my goal.
And I love that. That is so awesome, because I shared a little bit about that earlier. I remember there was a time where I had, my young daughter came to me and she had this really cool idea that she wanted to collect clothes for other kids that couldn't afford clothes and set up like a little clothes closet kind of a thing. And all I could do, I was a single mom of my 3 girls. I was working 3 jobs. I had that work mindset. I had the employee mindset. Mm-hmm. So all I could do is come up with every single reason why she couldn't do it. And if I was then who I am now, I would know better than that. But so many of us were in that mindset. We raise our kids to teach them work ethic. We raise them to teach them they have to go to college. They have to go to work for somebody else. We don't raise them to know that they can control their life. They can follow their dreams. They don't just have to work to help other people's dreams come true. So that's why I'm so excited to have you. You know, if I had you in my life 15 years ago.
Listen, if any of us had anything like raising a mogul in our lives 15 years ago, 20 years ago, what would it look like now?
Yes.
You know? So, and to speak to what you just said, it's not our fault. We don't know what we don't know. And, you know, the way we pass information down from generation to generation, we only do the best we can with what we were given. You know, so that's really why the Raising a Mogul platform is so exciting, because we have an opportunity to break the cycle. We have an opportunity to introduce a new way of thinking about what generational wealth looks like, what success looks like, how it shows up in our families every day. We have an opportunity to look at what education looks like and how we can customize experience for our children as they grow. You know, and even parenting. So this is a new opportunity for us to say, you know, that's how they said we should do it, but how did that work out? You know, like we always say, I'm not going to be my mother. I'm not going to do what my parents did. And not for, you know, the negative reasons that some people might mean, but, you know, as we grow and we explore, we travel, we take on the world, we realize that maybe we could do things a little bit differently. But some of us we have to grow to the point, Leanne, where we're brave enough to break that cycle and actually make a different choice.
Yes. Yes.
You know?
And I love everything you just said, and you're right. We don't know what we don't know. And I didn't know a lot back then. So it's been quite the learning process and journey. So, which it is for all of us. And that's okay, because as parents, we make the best decisions we know how to make for our children. Because like you said, we don't know what we don't know. So we do kind of have to give ourselves a break, like I do, like we all do. We all make mistakes. We teach our children and raise our children how we know how to do it. And I'm all about breaking generational curses and all of these things and doing better and being better, because if we want to do better and be better, we have to think better. We have to think bigger. So that's why I love what we're doing here, and I love sharing. One of the beautiful things about my show that I love is sharing these real stories and everything. So again, thank you for being a part of that.
No, thank you. Thank you.
So tell us, how did you get where you're at? Because we've all been there. We've all had these mistakes, you know. We didn't know back then what we know now. So tell us, how did you get
saying that earlier? All I kept thinking is like, I didn't know nothing either. Like, I didn't know nothing. Like, I knew what I had. All I knew is what I had in my hand. You know, and it's like we take, like I said, the little experience. But I started having kids when I was 21, and what do you know when you're 20? You know, so you just only can just do the best you can. But that's why it's so important that we're constantly seeking additional information. And we also have to be very, very careful with who we attach ourselves to, even at a young age. You know, your parents already say birds of a feather flock together. And then now as we're older, they say, they say like you're the sum of the 5 people you spend most of your time with or something like that. You don't really get that when you're 20. But then once you start to mature and you bring a child into the world, you realize you're like, well, geez, I don't want to break this. Like whole person. Like, I need to figure out how to do this right. So, you know, I remember reading a lot of books. You know, I remember when my son was diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, and every other acronym or, you know, letters that they could throw at me. I just remember thinking, okay, I need to order every book I need to order so I can understand what this is like, what this is about. How from his perspective, my perspective. And I just consumed myself with trying to understand as much as possible about the world my child was living in. So when fast forward to 2009, when Xandra said, I think this is going to be a thing. I want to make money. I can make money doing this. I had to then buy some books, look, search with my limited, ability of the internet. Then Facebook wasn't popping like it is now. You know what I mean? So I remember searching Google and asking people and looking up community forums and looking on the news, they have like those family newsletters and stuff, newsletters, to see how I can submerge myself in this world, this new journey that my child was going to take me on, because I knew what I couldn't do is I couldn't say no. I couldn't say no. I wouldn't say no. And I also couldn't pretend like I had all the information, because I knew either way I'd be doing her a disservice. So the same way I attacked my son's, issue in regards to his education and how he learned, I had to put just as much force behind me trying to help Xandra start a brand at just 9 years old. And you asked about the journey. It has been a complete struggle. It was a struggle in the beginning. Mm-hmm. So anybody out there, any parent manager, anybody whose child wants to write a book, wants to be a speaker, wants to be the next great whatever their imagination can dream, you're going to struggle. You struggle not only just with the balance, but with the self-doubt of whether they can do it, whether you can do it, whether we can do it. I was working a 9 to 5. I was in corporate. It wasn't really 9 to 5. It was more like 9 to 9. Yeah. I was divorced. I had 3 children, and it's just trying to figure it all out. And I don't blame the parents that are like, I don't know. Like you said, when your daughter came to you, you could have easily just been like, no, you can do soccer, cheerleading, or take this art class. You know what I mean? Because that's what we know. And when things are different or difficult, and then we have to pause to learn more about it, it takes up more time. It messes up the routine. You know what I mean? So I just had to make a decision. To answer your question, I had to make a decision that I was going to take this seriously, and that I had to understand that all my kids were different, and I had to give them all an equal portion whenever it was possible, while still not losing me. So, we went through the first 5 years was just a lot. Really, the first 4 years were a lot of mistakes. I didn't know what I was doing. So I wasted a lot of money, a lot of time, effort, energy, resources, just trying to build a business without necessarily understanding the strategy of building a business. Right. You know what I mean? So the tipping point came when I understood, when I started paying attention to where she said she wanted to be. So as soon as I started paying attention to that level that she wanted to be at, like she was clear, I want to open a store. I want to have my products on the shelves of Target. I want to be famous. I want to do like all this stuff. I had to write it all down. And then my goal, our mission was to slowly start ticking things off that list. And as I watched people that were where she wanted to be 10 years from that moment, I realized that they were investing in their business. And as I started to research, clearly it was like, well, this is not for 10, 11, and 12-year-olds. What are you doing? How dare you? So that's where then the struggle changed from just the struggle of not knowing to the struggle of trying to get her into spaces, into rooms where she could possibly eventually be treated as an equal. So once we got over those hurdles, just doors started to open up. I kept pushing. She kept showing up. She kept working. And the business has continued to grow yearly since then.
Wow, I love it. And thank you for sharing that, because so many people look at where someone else is and they compare themselves because they may not be at that level. So you were seeing all these people that were where she wanted to be. And it's frustrating. It gets frustrating for us because we see where they are. We see the amazing things that they're doing, and we're not quite there. So we get frustrated, discouraged, whatever. But I think that happens with everything. And everything that's worthwhile is a struggle. like you said,
Absolutely.
it was a struggle and it's hard work. And I'm sure it was hard. And tell us, for those listening that do not know who your daughter is and what you guys have built. Share with us a little
Kind
bit
of
about
important,
that.
right?
What's that?
I said, I guess that's kind of important, right?
Yeah.
So my daughter, her name is Zandra Cunningham, and her brand is called Zandra Beauty. It is a plant-based skincare company, social good company. We have a philanthropic arm, where we give back to our local community and beyond, girls all across the world in regards to education, specifically STEAM education, and Xandra's has become morphed into a brand on her own as a girls' education advocate and really just a girls' rights advocate. And the brand has grown, like I said, from our kitchen table, from just us being in local stores to now she has permanent shelf space at Target. We just, and then lots of other stores, just thousands of stores all over the world are carrying her products. And it's just it's been an amazing journey. And I want to say something about that because I know that someone's going to listen to this and think, "Oh wow, you made it! That's great!" And it's like we have made it here, but my mind is blown when I think of how much further we're going to go, how much further she's going to go as the brand grows, as she grows, as her creativity grows. And it's just really it's an evolving experience for me as a mother to watch,
Right.
this thing that was her baby, that she was so committed to, that everyone thought was so cutesy, turn into an empire. It's really turned into something pretty amazing. So we're actually we're actually officially in our Series A round of funding so that we can, now we went from, I remember a couple of years ago, I was thinking like, well, if we could just get $50,000, we could do this. Now it's like, we need $1 million and something just in the first quarter, right?
Yeah.
It changes. So like, I say that to those, that think like, y'all, you're doing it. And it's like, we are doing it. But every, they say more money, more problems. When you're in the business for yourself, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're working with your child or not, when you're working for yourself and you call the shots, and if you don't work, you don't eat, it's a whole different experience, So I want to encourage anybody that's listening or watching to really make sure that you don't get caught up in, just like Leanne said, you don't get caught up in that, well, they're doing this, maybe I should, or it looks like everything is great, I'm not doing good enough. We have to stay focused on our one thing and continue to evolve and grow. But the only way we can do that is if we're consistently seeking guidance, mentorship, and the next level. And that means in our relationships, who we surround ourselves with, what information we consume, how we spend our time, all those things that I took advantage of or took for granted before are so critical now. They're so critical now. The relationships are critical.
Yes.
Our conversation today is based on a relationship, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So I can't stress enough how important it is when we're building our own empires, as families or individuals, that we really value relationships and we stay focused and we surround ourselves with greatness at all times.
Yes, I love that. And so somebody did ask how old your daughter was, and Terry replied that she's 19. How old was she when you guys started this journey? I think is just as important as how old she is now.
Mm-hmm.
How old was she?
Zandra?
Yes, how old was Zandra?
She was 9 when she started, and she's 19 now. So it's been 10 years.
10 years building this empire, and I've been watching her. I was at a big conference 2 or 3 years ago in Syracuse, and it was a conference for minorities and women in business, and Zandra was she wasn't there, but they featured her as showing this amazing thing she was doing. I'm like, oh my God, it was awesome to see that. And I'm like,
And I don't know if we were connected. Were we connected at that
point? We were connected back then. Okay. So maybe it was last year, maybe, because we were connected. I'm like, I know who she is.
I love it. See, and she wasn't even there. She wasn't even in the room.
She wasn't even there.
Right? That's impact, influence.
And her up on the big screen and all these amazing things she's doing. And so, and I think it's so important, like we've been talking about, to know that it's been 10 years. It's not an overnight success. It takes time. It takes work. It takes focus. It takes consistency to keep going and keep building whatever it is, whether we want to help our children build an empire or whether we're doing it ourselves, and to build the empire and leave a legacy for those coming up behind us.
It's so important. And we have to be willing to work as hard, if not harder, than we did working for someone else. Yes. We've been trained that, we're attached to our labor. We, just go punch in this, like the whole, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's scary. I get it. It's so scary. Listen, I left my job in 2016 to work for my 16-year-old daughter. I was scared to death. I was like, so if this doesn't work out and, what do I have, 90 days worth of money to live? What happens next? I didn't know how I was going to pay for the car or the house or I just stepped on faith and I did it. I did it. I had to do it because I understood over time, once again, she was already 6 years in, that if I didn't give her everything I had, if I didn't give this business everything I had, there was no way it was going in. It was like either shut up or put up. You know what I mean? Like it was like, what's it going to be, Tamara? Is it going to continue? Are you going to allow it to bust at the seams and be what it's meant to be, what she wants it to be, what you promised her it could be, and that you would help her make it so? Or are you just going to keep doing this, building somebody else's dream while you ignore and neglect hers? Yeah. When I put it that way, it was very clear what to do. Yeah. And then it got to the point where it was no-brainer. And it got to the point where I couldn't sleep, not working for her all the time. Whereas before it was like I was working for her, but still, I was stressed about the work I was doing, making sure that, because I get paid for this, so now I get paid for this. But I'm not making what I was making before, but still, it's a different experience. It's different. And then there's a shift that happens, when success, this is where I'm talking about the change and how you evolve and what success means or looks like for you or your family. Success for me in 2014, 15, 13, before 2016 looked completely different. After, when I transitioned out of my corporate sponsorship job or whatever you want to call it, I success for me was happiness. It was wellness. It was peace of mind. It was freedom. Yeah. It was an opportunity to sit with my kid, to wake up at 10 o'clock if we wanted to. We were homeschooling our children. What should we do today? Should we take a walk? Should we go out for breakfast? Like, it was crazy. I spent 6 months, Leanne, just like being like, I can do whatever I want. It was just amazing. It was just an amazing experience. And then the work, it didn't feel, and still right now doesn't feel like work, Xandra or Raising a Mogul. Right. That's wonderful. They say if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. So right. there is some truth to that. You do work, but you love what you do, so it don't feel like work. And I love how you talk about success. So there's different levels of getting paid. You can get paid by, most people consider getting paid and they look at success and they attach it to a dollar sign. Mm-hmm. But there's other forms of success. And that's the beauty of success, is we determine our own success. Nobody else does. So what is successful for you or me or whoever is listening is different for the next person. We all have our own definitions of success. And there are so many other ways to get paid than the almighty dollar. It comes from pride. It comes from peace and
that serenity. And sometimes it just comes in well-being and self-love. And so there's
Yeah,
different ways that we get paid. It's not, everything is not attached to the almighty dollar, as we've been raised, many of us, to think and feel and live that that's considered success, is how much you make in
right.
your job, or your title in your job is what determines your
Oh
success.
my
But that's
goodness. The
not
title. The
true.
title.
We need
Sometimes
to
the title is more important than the salary.
it is, and so many of us were raised to feel that's what determines our success, but that's not the case. Our success is what we feel it is. It's what's important to us, not to anybody else, not to society, not to our parents, not to our family. It's what we feel. And there's so many more ways to get paid than just money. So
I
that
couldn't
thank
agree
you.
more. Absolutely.
Thank you for
But, but
sharing
but
that.
but until we do something different, we don't realize
Right,
everything else that's out there. We
right.
can't even adopt or consider a different way of living or thinking
Right.
until we start to surround ourselves that with people and ideas that are different,
Yeah.
than what we're used to.
Yes, yes. And that's so true. And when I was starting out as an entrepreneur and I decided to do, I've always been what I called a serial entrepreneur. I always had something going on, but it was more of a necessity for that little bit of extra. It was never something I thought I could actually live on. So the first time I walked into a room with a group of amazing women for networking, there was so much self sabotage, and oh my God, I don't belong here. Look at these amazing, strong, powerful women, and I was scared to death. But that's what we need to do. We need to put ourselves out there and put ourselves in front of the people that we want to become. Surround ourselves with the people that are doing what we want to do,
Mhm.
which is exactly what you were saying
That's
earlier.
it.
Surrounding ourselves with the people that are just that next step above us, that next
Absolutely.
level. And that's how we push ourselves, right?
Yeah, absolutely, totally, totally. That's why I'm so proud of um, my Raising a Mogul community and family because you talk about surrounding yourself, like what our kids are doing is such an anomaly. It's just you now you can Google it,
Yes.
teenpreneur, kidpreneur, young mogul. But when Xandra started, I was like scraping the earth to try to find other parents like me, So they say if you can't find it, if you can't Google it, it means you need to create it. So I
Yes.
created what I needed so badly.
Yes.
I created the community, I needed so badly. And our parents are some of I tell them all the time, they're like the dopest people on earth, just because they're brave enough to do it. And it did, no matter what, they don't, all excuses aside, they're brave enough to do it. So some
Yes.
some of us are scared to step out on faith and do something, start our own business for ourselves. But then I have parents that are doing it for themselves and their children at the same
Yes.
time.
Yes.
They really can see themselves running a family business or businesses and not depending
Mhm.
on anybody else for anything. And that's just extremely courageous, I
It
think.
is.
You
It
know,
is. It is. And I think you nailed it on the head. If you can't find the opportunity, create the opportunity. If you can't find what you're looking for, create it, because what you want and what you're looking for, other people are too. I was at a conference or whatever you want to call it with Rick Tamlin. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he's amazing. At a Produce You weekend we had locally, and that was one of the things he said. People want what you want. So if you want it, create it, because other people are going to want it. Don't create what you think other people want. Create what you want, because that's what you're going to want. So
right.
absolutely. And if you can't find the opportunity, create it.
Create
Because
the opportunity.
yes, yes. If you can't find it, create it. Make it
I think
happen yourself.
that's like what being an entrepreneur is all about, right? Creating
Yeah,
opportunities, creating the widget, creating the thing, creating the
yeah,
space, creating the mindset, whatever it is, and that's leadership.
Yes.
So we're really, so I'm in the business actually of teaching parents how to train their kids to be better leaders and create the,
I love, yeah, you are. You definitely are.
wow. Yeah, this is good. That's absolutely, I love, and that's it. I one of the things at, the themes when we had our first Raising a Mogul Family Business Summit back in June in Atlanta, Georgia. And one of the things that we talked about, or that I talked to the parent managers that were present about, is creating how I was committed to creating an ecosystem for my family and my children. And we created what Xandra always says is our own normal. And in order to do that, you have to be brave enough to kind of block everybody else's stuff, so that way you can create what works best for you and your family, as you build. Because and that's why, once you find a group, you find a conference, you find a tribe, a community that thinks like you, that moves like you. I mean, nothing's ever going to be perfect. Let's just be transparent with that. However, it helps to know that there are other people that have gone through, are going through, or are just vibing with me. But until that time, until you can get everybody on board, especially since we're talking about entrepreneurship, not everybody's gonna believe in your thing.
No.
So no.
No, they are not.
You just gotta go. You can find some other people that are just wild enough to not even care about your thing, but they're gonna still support you anyways. But and just not be afraid to break away from the naysayers or the people that have no vision, or dream killers or stealers, because I feel like so many people, we say that and it sounds very, easy to, it comes off very easy to do, but it's hard when nobody else around you understands what this is like. It's hard when nobody else around you, it's like, you can't go on vacation because you're building that business. You can't go, at the summit, I told the people, I was like, I gave back my BMW, my truck, because I was like, no, I can't, I'm living life differently here. I'm Team Xandra. I work for my 16-year-old and she don't pay that great right now, but she's good. That's real talk, right? Like, come on now. I was like, life has to change a little bit around here. So we had a family meeting, Leanne, and was like, this is what it's going to look like. Because we're all committed to making this thing grow. And I haven't looked back. I don't regret anything. And nobody in my household regrets it.
Oh, yeah. That's amazing. And tell us a little bit. Tell us, for parents out there who have their young kid or teen or what their child that wants, they have this dream, they have this vision, but we always kind of feel like it's a pipe dream, when you get older, that kind of thing. How do we encourage this in our children? For somebody who has, as I did back in the day, who has that employee mindset, how do we shift our mindset so we can try and teach our children and encourage them that this is a way?
Mm-hmm. I think the first piece of that, it's really important for us to break away from the idea of parenting with ego, because I feel like, as we repeat this cycle that many of us are on, it's like a, scary roller coaster ride of, because my mom and them did it, that's how I'm going to do it. Even if we don't say it or we don't intend to, it just happens that way. Is that we have to realize that we don't know everything. And we have to really mean it when we say that we want our kids' lives and experience here to be better than ours. And if that's what we want, we have to be free thinking enough to allow them to actually live. And living looks like exploring your creativity, being able to think freely, being able to, not having any fear in the home, so that your kids can, know that it's free expression, so they can come and say, Mom or Dad, I want to do this, or what I think I'm just going to go ahead and be a dog trainer, or I'm going to go ahead and play the violin and dance, polka dance, whatever it is that you're like, what in the world, you feel like you want to call a friend because you're like, this child lost his or her mind. That's okay, but first thing we have to do is not just shut it down because we don't understand it. We have to understand that we could possibly and we will, if we're open enough, learn something from our children. So what the first thing we need to understand is what we learn is they will teach us who they are. If you're paying attention, if you're listening, if you slow down enough, I promise you. And I know, listen, I know somebody's listening like, whatever, Tamara. Well, you have no idea because I'm a single mother and this and this and da, 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 da. As soon as you start having this conversation with parents, that's the first thing, like it's all the reasons why it can't happen, right?
Yep. Yep.
I was there, but I promise you, if you look at the way your day is, you look at your week, you look at your month, you look at your life and the way you're living it, you look at all the nonsense that we fill our time and space and energy with, and we remove that and we insert your child's heart, your child's dream, your child's, freedom. Like we have an opportunity. We're allowing this human that's growing under our, molding to really become who they're meant to be. But we don't know who they're meant to be until we start listening and watching and paying attention, and they will tell us. They will reveal themselves to us. But we have to slow down enough to allow that exchange to happen. So that's the first thing, which I know is kind of deep. So it's like, whatever, some people, they're not ready, to be ready. But I would say having a conversation with your child, understanding what they really love, what they don't care for. How was school today? Well, what did she say? Well, how did that make you feel? Well, did you like art? Listening to them, if they're singing in the shower, if they can memorize. I remember my son Josiah, I knew that, I was always concerned about his learning ability, but I knew that he was gifted because he could literally remember any tune. Every time he saw an instrument, he would pick it up and play it. I started paying attention. So when it came time for people to tell me what he wasn't good at, I was like, oh, okay. I was less concerned because I knew he was great at all these other things because I was paying attention. You know what I mean? So I think, I said a lot there, but I think, it really comes from us listening and talking to our kids and figuring it out a way. Don't instantly go with the guard up and start thinking of, instead of thinking of why it won't work, or why you can't afford it, or how you don't have time, think about it this way. Wow, let me see what I can do to make this happen. Mm-hmm. Let's see where we can carve out time. As a parent, in your mind, not to your kid, but you can be like, what can I get rid of?
Yeah.
In exchange for this dream. You know what I mean? Community resources, Leanne, saved me. When I was single and broke and trying to figure it out, community resources saved me. Those community newspapers and bulletins. Now we have Eventbrite and all this other stuff. We can, you can Google, put in your zip code. It wasn't like that then. Yeah. But you can figure it out, and just don't be afraid to stand in line a little longer for the opportunity that costs less or nothing. Like show up and ask questions and figure out how they can get more involved. Whatever it is that you see that makes your child's eyes twinkle and their heart soar, or makes, they get excited about, position them so that they can do more of that. The reason why many of us are, we graduate from college and we're like, so now I know I have this MBA, and now I got to find out where to go MBA, and I don't even really know what that looks like, and I have to buy a suit. Like, no, you know what I mean? Like, or we have 4 kids, 3 kids like me, and we're 25, and it's like, now what? Yeah. It's because the reason why that exists is because we weren't allowed to explore when we were younger. Community resources. My son, he was in dance, football, soccer, baseball, basketball. In dance, it was tap, ballet, jazz. My family thought I was insane. And I said, but how do I know what he wants to do? If he says he wants to do it, I'll figure out how to get him in it. But I don't know what his thing's going to be if he hasn't tried all the things. Why do you want me to make him choose? You know what I mean? So I think just doing whatever we can to make sure that we're positioning our children for greatness according to them is very, very critical.
According to them, not us.
No.
And not society.
And not your parents or your uncles, your sisters, your brothers, your cousins, or Facebook.
Yes. There's so much. Everything you said was beautiful and scary all at the same time. I wonder how many people you lost at Check Your Ego at the door.
We have to. Because the thing is, if we're afraid to admit, or we never come to terms with the fact that we don't know everything, first of all, we can never get better. And our kids can never be any better than us.
Yes, yes. I always say we can never promise to be perfect. We can only promise to be real.
That's it.
And so we have to really be real with our kids, to give them that opportunity to show us who they are, and be present. It's hard to be present, especially this day and age. We're surrounded by technology. We have our cell phones are like it's almost like a part of us. They're attached to us. So it's so hard to be present and not compare to what other people are doing. And the other thing I think is important for us is it's okay if they don't know yet. Absolutely. Because my daughter's a senior. She don't know. That's okay. She doesn't have to know. We expect our 16, 17, 18-year-olds to know what they want to do with the rest of their lives. I'm 40 years old and I'm only just finally almost figuring out what I want to do when I grow up. It's like, come on. And we push our kids. You've got to go to college. You've got to go to work for somebody. And like you said, you go to school, you have this MBA. Now what do you do with it? You still have no idea what you want to do for the rest of your life. And how many of us actually end up doing what we went to college for? So I think
I'm not doing that. What I went to college for.
Yeah, So it's so important for us to really just be present and let them figure it out, which is hard. Isn't that hard?
It's very hard. It's very hard, but it's still our responsibility to show them many different paths. You know what I mean? So then there's a choice to be made. And if we're not capable, and if we don't have the time or the resources, which resources really shouldn't be an issue, because if you have access to the internet, to the library, to internet, whatever, nowadays everybody has the internet, a cell phone, we can Google anything. We have all the information at our tips. So if we can consume, you talked about, hard to slow down and be present. It's because the world is so loud. Yes. It's so loud. It's so much going on. So we have to understand that if our children can consume all that noise, and they do consume it, they filter some they keep, some they hold on to, which is a whole nother conversation. They can consume, the ideas of what the future could possibly look like for them. So it's okay if they don't know, but a lot of us don't know because we haven't been exposed to all these different things. My son, when he graduated from high school, he had no idea. And I swear to you, if he wasn't a football player, he probably wouldn't have gone to college. Right. Because he was just like, even Xander, for a while, Xander was like, and she's a girls' education advocate. And she was like, I don't think I'm going straight to school. She's like, I just travel and eat good food and inspire people and go wherever. She was like, I'll go to London and Switzerland. And I was like, whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do. My job is to make sure I support you. As long as you're a productive, law-abiding member of society and you're giving more than you're taking, then I'm behind you, whatever it is. And my little one, Josiah, he's not little, he's 18. I'm trying to figure out what success looks like for him. He's trying to figure out what success looks like. Every child is different. And we as parents have to treat them and love them accordingly, But one of the things that a lot of parents have to understand is that it doesn't have to just be high school, college, job. The same emphasis and energy and effort that we put into getting them a math tutor so they can get that diploma, we need to put into getting them an art tutor, getting them a music tutor or a hair braiding tutor, a jewelry making tutor, whatever mentorship is required to get them to the next level of their dream. Josiah, he wanted, if you ever see my son, he wears like 50 million chains, jewelry. He looks like something you see on like MTV. I don't even know if MTV still exists. I don't know. He looks like a rapper, right? But that's what society sees, right? I see my
Yeah.
baby, but
Yeah.
his thing is he's obsessed with jewelry. He wants to be a jeweler. I recognized this years ago. So I started getting him, I got him a mentor. So now he can go and spend time with local jewelers to learn about metals. I bought him gemology books. He's obsessed with them. Who knew? He didn't want to read in school, but he will read this. So it's just us being creative with not only our thought process, but our approach to our parenting and where we see our kids and what we want to buy into, and when it comes to helping them fulfill their dream, you know.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing I've learned along the way, because I always try to encourage what they're want to do. But the other thing I think is important for us to realize what they want to do 1 minute will change.
Oh yes.
I can't tell you the amount of money invested in this, and then I don't want to do that anymore. But
Right.
it's okay. We have to know that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That is how they figure it out. That's how we figured it out.
It's true.
And it's also hard to allow them to learn these lessons, but to make mistakes. And I find in parenting, just in general, it is so hard to allow them and give them that space to make their mistakes. I'm thinking,
It's so hard.
I know this how this is going to turn out.
Yeah, I know. Well, for one, we want to be a safety net. We don't want them to even get to the point where the mistake could possibly be made, because we want to save them from everything. So that's a problem. That's something I'm still in recovery with. I don't even know what to call that.
Yeah.
I struggle with that. Like, I struggle with it. You know, my oldest daughter is 26 years old and she has 2 children, and I struggle with it. Like, I wish I could be there so I can tell her how to do everything right.
Right.
That's right. You heard me, right? That's me being honest. That's me being completely transparent.
Yes.
But that's not my approach. That's a secret between all of us. But that doesn't it. And my mother, I'm 42, and my mother still wants to make sure I do everything right so that I don't get hurt. Are you okay? I'm like, oh, leave me alone. So I understand how my 18-year-old feels when I'm like, you're walking to the park, to the store by yourself. Oh my goodness. You want to go to the mall alone? You know, like that. I don't know if that's ever going to go away, but we have to be flexible with our approach so that they can actually live life and learn, because they're going to grow from their mistakes, just like we've grown from ours.
Yes.
How dare you? How dare you, mom and dad, be upset that they made a mistake or they don't know what they want to do, and you like spent $200,000 on college and you don't like it no more. You know what I mean? Or whatever. Like, how many relationships have we been in? We're allowed to decide, change our mind.
Yes.
You know, but we forget sometimes, when we want the best for our children, that you know, we were there too, which is why we work so hard to make sure they never have that problem, but it's not possible. It's just not possible.
I totally agree. And it's tough. I struggle with that. I still tell my kids, let me know when you get there. And they're 24, 21, and almost 18 years old. But it's what we have to do. We have to, but I give them their space, but I still want to know you're okay when you get there.
Oh my goodness. My son is 22. So together we have 5 kids. And the 22-year-old, he comes home from college, and he's mom, but he understands the routine. He's actually the only kid that understands what I need. Right? It's not about requirements, because I'm very crazy. I want to like snip their wings, but at the same time, I'm like, so he'll text me, I arrived. 4:00 in the morning, he's coming home from being out with his friends, and he'll text me, I'm safe. He's in Ohio at college. He's like, just finished a football game or whatever. And I'm like, he'll text me, I'm safe. I'm like, okay. You know,
we can sleep now.
Right.
We'll give you the space. Just give us that little text message so we can actually finally go to bed.
Exactly.
So we've got a little off track, but
it's good. It's a good conversation.
Yes, and that's what we are all about. So tell us where can we find you?
Okay, so Raising a Mogul, you can find us on all social media at Raising a Mogul. You can find me everywhere at Tamaras Antel, just the way you see my name show up, Tamaras Antel. And wherever you see me, you'll see Raising a Mogul, and you'll also see Xandra. My website is tamarasantel.com, and we have an amazing community, like I said, of the most dynamic parent managers and parents that are just working really hard to bring the world the most dynamic humans ever, little people, young moguls. And they range from so many different spectrums of success. We have kids that are actors, that are, product makers, that are speakers, that are, just starting, some that have been all around the world. And it's just a great mix of an excellent community. And you can join us there at raisingamogul.org.
I love it. So do you have anything going on, any events or anything like that going on you want to share?
So, well, we have our biggest event, which is going to be our flagship event. Our annual event is our Raising a Mogul Family Business Summit. And we just put our early bird tickets on sale for that. And you can learn more about the summit at Raising a Mogul. It's raisingamogulsummit.com. I'm like, what is it? Raisingamogulsummit.com. You can go there or check out our Facebook page for all the amazing happenings. The other thing that we just embarked on, which was really a huge thing for our community, is called Young Mogul News. So we've gathered, some of our most amazing young people that are in business. They're all CEOs of their own companies. They're all selling products and in traveling and going to events and standing up for themselves and whatever they feel is their position is and how they want to change the world. And we brought them all together for a platform. It's called Young Mogul News Network. You can find us on Facebook. And they get together and they have conversations between bosses. So the young people get to interview each other and share their wins and their successes, any struggles they're having. And it's really just an awesome time for them to show up in the world and from their point of view. And so that just launched. I think we're about 2 months in. Terry's watching, she can tell us. And it's really amazing. And you'll have an opportunity to learn. It's a great way for other young people that want to start businesses to hear from young people that have started businesses, not just all the amazing stuff and what's on sale, but what the real world is like, what this real thing is like,
Yeah.
So that's really it. Young Mogul News and all things Raising a Mogul. The other thing that we have is we have the summit, but we also do offer coaching and consulting for parents that are really, serious about this thing. And they're like, I don't want to take 10 years like you, Tamara. I want to do it in 3 years or 4 years, or I want it now,
Mm-hmm.
So I offer services for that as well, so that we can do consulting, whether it's just let's just do a call and see where your child is and how you can help develop that great gift or bring that product to life. Or you want to spend a whole year with me in my mastermind and let's just see how we can get you off the ground as well as your child and your whole family as a whole.
I love it. You're paving the way.
Yes, that's
for
what it's
young
all
moguls.
about.
I love it.
Creating the opportunity.
Love it. So maybe we should have a couple of the young moguls join us some night.
Oh goodness, that would be amazing.
I think we'll make that happen. So definitely. So what can we take away from tonight's show? What is one takeaway you want everyone to have going into this next week to empower them and encourage them to just make it great?
If I had one thing that I would love for you all to take away, it would be the idea that we've been talking about, that you really can create your own normal. You really can create the life that you want to live, the life that you envision, you're passionate about for your family. You can make it happen no matter what. And if you want it, like Leanne, like you said, somebody else out there wants it or is working on it as well. So as long as you use your resources and you tap into other amazing people, whatever it is you want to happen, you can make it happen. But you first have to just give yourself permission to just go for it. Go for it. We can do whatever we want.
Yes, we can. And I just want to give a shout out to Terry and Marilyn and Tammy and Allison and all of you guys for your comments. I apologize I didn't get to them, but we've had some amazing stuff here tonight. So thank you all. And
thank you all for showing up.
Yes. And thank you guys for coming along, sharing tonight. It was amazing. Let us know where you tuned in from, if you caught the replay, caught us live. And thank you again. And going into this week, really do just that. Think about what it is you do want. What do you want your life to look like? And I remember being asked, and those of you who follow me have heard this many times, being asked, what is my life? What do I want to do with my life? And where do I want to be in 5 years? And at the time I was at a very low in my very low point in my life. And all I could see was day to day. I didn't have that luxury of thinking big and thinking ahead and thinking about what I wanted for my life. I didn't feel that was a luxury, but I want you to know that it is a luxury. It is something that you can think big, but you need to give yourself permission. You need to stop being stuck in that everyday struggling point in your life. We're all given challenges. We are all giving struggles because that's how we grow. Mm-hmm. We're talking about allowing our kids to make mistakes. We made mistakes, but it's those mistakes and those challenges that we grew from. But we need to get past that. We need to move on. We need to give ourselves permission to just look up and see that there's a whole big world out there for us. So do that. Look up tonight, look up this week, and see where you really want to go. And you can start creating that life for you. But sometimes you got to at least look up and see that there is opportunity there. Because if you're so focused, and focus is a good thing, if you're not just so focused, you can't see what's going on around you. And you're not so focused on the struggle and the challenges. Because we get caught in that. And I know I was caught in that for so many years. I didn't hit rock bottom. I rolled around on rock bottom for years. It was crazy. So look up and see that the world is at your fingertips. You just need to give yourself permission to get out there and reach for it. Mm-hmm. So that's what I want you to do. Get out there, reach for it. Encourage your children to reach for it. Instead of shutting them down, I think as a mom, it's like a reflex. They ask something, no. It was a reflex for many, many years.
That's part of the cycle, right?
Break that cycle. So encourage them to look up and see what the possibilities are for them as well. So thank you all so, so much for tuning in. I love you. Welcome to your fuller life. It is yours to live. We will see you all next week. Have a great week. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.